There was a moment last night when Shayna Baszler was middle of the ring. Becky Lynch's music hits, and sure enough, here comes Bex. Wasn't sure what she was wearing. She had on Elton John's glasses, a bright long-sleeve yellow shirt. Wasn't sure if she was a highway construction worker or at the local airport about to land planes. I don't know what the getup was about. Certainly wasn't badass. But Becky Lynch came to fight. She dropped the title, Shayna saying, "Come on," Becky Lynch obliged. When she got in the ring, she got planted on her ass, and it was the first real moment that the Amplified Man thought, wow, this is a reality. Within the next month and a half, Becky Lynch is dropping that championship. We fully expect Ronda Rousey to show up at Mania and cost Becky that match. We fully expect Shayna Baszler to walk out of Tampa, Florida with the championship. And if you saw her reign in NXT, I beg the question, who's taking that championship from Shayna? She ran through everybody in NXT until it was time for her to move up, I use that loosely, to the main roster. And then she had to drop it. Triple H felt Rhea Ripley was the best scenario to go with. But if Vince McMahon didn't want his paws all over Shayna, Shayna would still be in NXT running through everybody. And realistically, you would believe it. And on top of that, if you want some behind the scenes, spoiler, we're hearing that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are supposed to take some time off after WrestleMania. So that's more proof that Becky Lynch is dropping that championship to Baszler. But it never became more evident than last night when Becky Lynch got planted on her ass. And Shayna Baszler was all over that. And Becky is on her ass. She's looking up at the lights, but she's trying to throw some bows in. I love the fight in Becky Lynch. It looked awesome. But you saw the alpha in all of this. You saw Shayna Baszler control that. When Becky Lynch came down, Baszler didn't run. She said, "Come on." A Shinsuke, "Come on." And you gotta believe at WrestleMania, it's bye-bye Bex. That was actually a good segment last night, and when you put 6 females at the contract signing and Jerry Lawler is overseeing this, there is a lot of room for error. There is a lot of room for botches on the mic. Everybody. There's a lot of room for something horrible, many things, to go wrong. The segment was short, sweet, to the point, and the melee afterwards, absolutely perfect. We'll talk all about that, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, what happened at the end of Raw, something that caught me off guard and by surprise, but something you might even be more surprised at. I liked it. Some things I liked in this show. Did this really happen? We'll get to that, but first I want to start at the very top, right from the jump, where we started with Randy Orton, and he gives another half-ass apology for what he's done in recent weeks. To Edge, 2 weeks in a row to Matt Hardy. Kevin Owens then hits the ring, obviously representing Canada. They were in Winnipeg, so, Vince McMahon needs to have somebody from Canada out there to get that cheap applause. People generally like Kevin Owens anyway, but the fact that he's from Canada did not hurt. There's gotta be someone from Canada around here. Get him out there. We got it, Vince. We got Kevin Owens on his way. So Owens comes down there, and it was misplaced, I'm not going to lie. Owens is asking Randy Orton why he did what he did to Edge. The same thing that Hardy asked Randy Orton 2 weeks in a row. But here's my question. Why is all of a sudden everybody playing the role of Sherlock Holmes? All of a sudden everybody is Inspector Gadget. Everybody is Detective How You Doing? Everybody needs to know why he did what he did to Edge. Why? They're brothers. Edge has said that on many occasions. Randy Orton says on many occasions, he's like a brother to me. Brothers are gonna fight. Stay out of it. If me and my brothers, one of my brothers are fighting, your best bet is to stay out of it. Why does everybody need to know this? They're trying to tell the story, well, Edge was my hero growing up. And when he came back, it instilled this new passion in me. And then you took it away, Randy. How dare you? But Kevin Owens is one of the most malicious, vicious people on that roster. We've seen him do some dastardly deeds. We've seen him turn on people in the most vicious of ways. So now he's going to turn around and lecture Randy Orton that was crossing the line? That's what I mean. Character-wise, it doesn't fit Kevin Owens. Not even as a face. So that's my issue with it. But Owens laying down a challenge to Orton? I'm on board with that. And Orton saying, I accept, but not right now, and he rolls out of the ring. So that sets up the main event for later in the night. Or right from the jump, I'm told, as a fan, as a viewer, as a critic, as an analyst, a journalist, whatever you want to label me as, I'm thinking, hey, we're going to end the show without a 6-man tag. Or an 8-man tag. This is going to be a one-on-one that actually matters, that means something, that could be fun. Something could come from it. Unlike a nonsensical BS 6-man tag that always ends the show, or an 8-man tag, or something that is just so stupid, there is absolutely no development. I thought, hey, one-on-one, maybe something will develop here. Maybe I'll care about something after this. And I did. We'll get to that main event later, but when Orton took on Owens, something happened in that match that I'm pretty sure nobody saw coming, whether you liked it or not. It absolutely helps character progression, but also storyline progression. I'll explain a little bit later in that main event. But if you're talking brothers like Edge and Orton going at it, let's talk the first match of the night, which was the Clash of the Cousins, Humberto and Garza. This was a 20-minute match, fast-paced, action-packed, crowd was engaged, a legit chess match between the two. When it was all said and done, Garza scores the W over Humberto when he grabbed the tights of Humberto off of a roll-up. So at least it wasn't a simplistic roll-up. The heel looked like a heel. The cheatery was done. He grabs the tights. Garza squeaks by with the W. Zelina Vega's happy. They go to the back. And Humberto is still in that ring, wondering where he went wrong. Another loss for Humberto. I think this is going to tell the story beautifully, though. Humberto is finally going to get Garza and or Andrade's number. And when it does, it'll be that much more sweeter. But I told you guys from the jump I was getting into this Andrade and Humberto feud once I saw this new edge and mean streak out of Humberto. He put the dimples on the shelf, he put his little smiles to the wayside, and he had this new edge to him. And him and Andrade were starting to work real well together. Then, of course, Andre the Giant, Andrade got suspended, and he got put on the shelf. But instead of the whole feud getting put on the shelf, they inserted Angel Garza. He mixed beautifully with Zelina Vega. They added another good dimension to the story arc. Because they're cousins anyway, Garza fits beautifully with not just Zelina, but with Humberto. And obviously with Andrade. So I was enjoying all of this from Humberto and Andrade from the beginning, now with Garza and Humberto. And when Andrade comes back next week, I'm hoping they pick this up right where they left off. But there's a lot of awesome stuff you can do with Andrade, Humberto, and Garza. And with Zelina Vega right in the mix, there's so much you can do. And when Humberto is done with Andrade and Garza, then you could do something with Andrade and Garza if you want to. You could literally fill up the better part of 2020 with some awesome, engaging content. And on top of that, great wrestling. Because we know all three are great, actual, skillful wrestlers. But if you give them the right storyline too, which almost is sitting in their lap, you can't go wrong. It's WWE though, so you don't hold your breath and you know that they can find ways to go wrong. Something could be sitting right in their lap and they'll still find a way to screw it up. But I'm engaged with all of this. And on top of that, the fact that we're getting good wrestling as well, I'm into that, man. But again, Garza scores this W over Humberto. Humberto suffers another loss. And starting next week, Andrade is back from his 30-day wellness suspension. So, interesting to see where they go from there, man. Hour number 1 ends with a 5-minute match between Ricochet and Luke Gallows. Ricochet wins with a shooting star from the top rope. We knew Rico was going to win here. I'm just glad they did not have Gallows squashed in 90 seconds. This was a little bit more realistic at least, right? If Ricochet just went in there, beat Gallows in 90 seconds just to show everybody that he's a legit threat for Brock Lesnar, that's not realistic to a longtime fan like yours truly. I know what Gallows can do in there. It's not unrealistic that Ricochet can beat Gallows, but it's at least going to take 5 minutes. And even 5 minutes might be too quick for you guys, but I do understand Ricochet is about to take on Brock Lesnar Thursday afternoon at Super Showdown. So you do have to build up Ricochet a little bit more than usual. But less than 5 minutes with Gallows, I'm not buying it. They at least let Gallows get some good offense in there. A few times where Gallows even thought he won the match. No harm, no foul here. And what it led to was even more important and more better. And what I'm talking about is the start of hour number 2, where backstage, the OC, they're upset that Gallows has just lost. And they're wondering what they're about to do next. What's their next move? WrestleMania's around the corner. They call themselves the best tag team in the world, but you had Anderson drop a match last week to Ricochet. This week, Gallows is dropping a match, and this is their WrestleMania. This is their road to WrestleMania. They're on a losing streak. So they're all kind of upset when Aleister Black walks by. The OC, first of all, AJ Styles has some words for Aleister Black, and they don't even let him respond. They just jump Aleister Black pretty viciously, putting his head through the door, into the wall, some kicks, some blows. And then they take off, and Aleister Black looked in rough shape. And think about this for a second, because I did last night. Just think about Aleister Black versus AJ Styles WrestleMania. Are you kidding me? That's your undercard. Not even a championship on the line. That's just Aleister Black, AJ Styles, and that's a take my money situation. Those are the type of matches that make a WrestleMania meaningful. If you're going to give me matches like Styles and Aleister Black, we're going to gladly want to accept WrestleMania into our lives, right? We're going to gladly jump in the backseat of the car and be on the road to WrestleMania with everyone. But if you're going to put shitty booking mixed with matches we don't want to see, we're going to reluctantly be on this road. Thoroughly like that. Just the thought process of it. And that wasn't the end of it, right? That wasn't just like a one-off. OC was pissed off, they jump Aleister Black, that's the last we're going to hear from it. No, Aleister Black had a match coming up with Eric Rowan, and at the end of that match, Aleister Black made it clear he's not done with AJ Styles. We'll get to that in a second, but first, Brock Lesnar was out with a 6-minute promo. Well, Paul Heyman was cutting the 6-minute promo. Brock Lesnar was just putting on his best bouncy performance. And it surprised me. There's nothing really of relevance in this promo. Paul Heyman is great at what he does. He sold Super Showdown. That's great. We got to see Brock Lesnar. There's a rarity. But what surprised me here is what didn't happen. And that's the fact that Brock Lesnar was in the building. Ricochet just had a match. And they're days away from Super Showdown, but they decided no conflict between the two. No interaction. Lesnar could have easily came in during or after that Ricochet match. Ricochet could have tried to prove a point during the promo. Backstage, Lesnar could have came across Ricochet. He didn't even have to have any physicality. But they decided to leave the two apart, and it's just odd because Ricochet just had a match, and then they brought out Brock Lesnar next. They didn't see each other at all backstage as they were, you know what I mean? I don't know. I would have separated the segments a little more if that was the case, but surprising that they didn't have any extra. That shows you that they're really just trying to get past Super Showdown and get to the setup with Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar, which they did really well, by the way, because we had a very well done backstage sit-down one-on-one interview when Charlie Caruso was interviewing Drew McIntyre. And McIntyre, I mean, I love these heartfelt, really in-depth, intriguing, personal type of interviews, and that's what they had with Drew McIntyre last night, where Drew McIntyre basically laid down the entire timetable of his WWE career. From when he started back in the '09, he was like, what did he say, 21 years old? Something like, he was a kid. And he made a lot of mistakes, and he ended up being fired. But he talked about how he didn't want to be remembered as that guy playing air guitar in 3MB. He wanted to be known as a champion. And he took off, and when he came back, it was kind of dragging on him that he thought he was going to have all these championship reigns by then, and he actually had none. 0 heavyweight championships. He comes back to NXT. He was a big-time player, even captured the NXT championship. He was putting on some of the best matches in his career, and he knew that's how he had to come back to WWE. In NXT, reestablish himself, and when he got to the main roster, it meant business, and he was going for those championships. And now that he's finally there, he can't let it slip away. I love just the personal aspect of it and the fact of how it was all laid out beautifully. And Charlie Caruso did an awesome job too. She was a big part of laying down that timetable. It brought us all back to the journey and where it began for Drew McIntyre. And that's important. That helps a story just insurmountably. It helps a story because it gets you invested, not just in the match, but in the character. And you can't get invested into a match if you're not invested and care about the characters. I really enjoyed that thoroughly, guys. And again, judging by Lesnar, or should I say Paul Heyman's promo. Paul Heyman. Oh, I can't, man. I need another sip of coffee. Judging by Heyman's promo, they're definitely looking more toward Drew McIntyre. This shows you that Ricochet is obviously what we all knew, just a filler. Get past Super Showdown. It's a little bit of a status point for Ricochet, so no harm, no foul. And then we get to Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. So I don't know what really the Brock Lesnar promo did. You know, there was no interaction with Ricochet at all. But as far as the sit-down backstage promo interview with Drew McIntyre, Charlie Caruso, I loved that. So that in and of itself helped their WrestleMania match. Now, before we get into hour number 3, I want to go back to Aleister Black because during hour number 2, he had a matchup with Eric Rowan. Now, don't forget now, he got jumped by OC earlier in the night, so he's still playing up a rib injury. He's looking like he's not all there in his dome piece. So this allowed Eric Rowan to get even more of an advantage than he did last week. I felt Rowan had some spots last week where he could have won that match. This week, Eric Rowan had no excuses. OC kind of lightened up the workload for him. This was actually an engaging matchup. I know, this was an exact replica of last week's Rowan and Black match. I don't like the fact that people got around a boardroom meeting earlier in the week and they said, what do you guys want to put together this week? How about Rowan and Black again? And everyone else on that boardroom meeting said, yeah, I like that. I don't like the fact that that was even a match. Why would you take something you just put out there last week? We had a definitive winner. We don't need to see it again. Rowan doesn't need to be losing again, right? Because you can't have Aleister Black lose. So you definitely can't have Rowan lose 2 in a row either to the same guy. So why would you make the same match twice? I did not like that concept at all, guys. But I can just go on and review what I actually witnessed. And what I witnessed last night in that rematch was actually an engaging matchup. It was entertaining. It went over 10 minutes long, Eric Rowan's best one-on-one match that I can remember. If you guys can remember a better Eric Rowan match, put it down below and I'll research it. But that was Eric Rowan's best one-on-one match. And I'm talking his pay-per-view matches and all. That's the best I've seen Eric Rowan. He was on it. There was many times he thought he really had that match won and should have won. But even injured, Aleister Black was able to kick out. Even while selling his storyline injury from the OC, this entire match was an Aleister Black clinic, right? This is what Aleister Black is great at. He's not going to give in. He's not going to give up. He, at any moment, can kick you in your dope piece and knock you off your rocker. And that's what happened. The finish saw Rowan hit with not 1, but 2 Black masses. Same finish as last week. Remember, it took 2 to take down Rowan, and I love that. It tells the story that Rowan is a beast. right? It doesn't injure Rowan too much. However, 2 losses in a row, that's when you start injuring the character and hurting that character. But because it's 2 black masses, right? Anybody else, a normal Joe Schmo, is being taken out with 1. Rowan needs 2. So at least that helps Rowan a little bit. And these matches that Rowan's having with Black is helping Rowan as well. So it doesn't hurt him as much as you guys are thinking. I know it's back-to-back losses, but this is the best I've seen Rowan ever. So we gotta see, man. Even with the Wyatt family, it just feels like this is the best Rowan that I'm seeing. But Black collecting that W even after getting jumped by the OC, having a 10-minute match with Rowan definitely does not hurt Aleister Black, obviously. So Black collects the W and then post-match is interviewed at the top of the ramp where he informs AJ Styles, and I quote, "Next week, we fight." So he's telling Styles, oh, you started this? All right. This is leading to Mania. And again, just the thought of Aleister Black and AJ Styles. Fuck, man. Hour number 2 ends with the, what was it, Truth TV. Lana and Bobby Lashley was his guest. This was as horrible as you would have thought it was. Fortunately, it was only 2 minutes long. Unfortunately, it turned into a matchup. Bobby Lashley versus R-Truth. It didn't last long, maybe 2 minutes tops. Lashley hits R-Truth with the spear and the 1, 2, 3 subsequently. Clearly, this just proves they have nothing for Bobby Lashley at all. They put all of their eggs into one basket. All the chips were on the table for a Rusev-Bobby Lashley weird storyline. And they had no trajectory afterwards. That was it. That's why it dragged on for 5 months, Rusev and Bobby Lashley. Because they didn't have anything. Rusev is so pissed off, he's back at home. You never know if Rusev is coming or going. He has more fights with Vince McMahon than probably Linda McMahon in the last 30 years. Rusev just wants out. Rusev is pissed off. Bottom line, he wants out. Bobby Lashley is playing around with R-Truth for no reason. It's not leading to anything. Bobby Lashley could have been something in WWE when he came back. WrestleMania 36 coming up, Tampa, Florida. You could have done something really big with Bobby Lashley if for the last year plus you were building Bobby Lashley up correctly. Same with Rusev. You could have had Rusev in a big time position. Do you guys remember when Rusev Day was at its highest? I wasn't fully on board with Rusev Day, but I saw how hot he was becoming. I saw how over everything was going with Rusev. And if you would have told me that going into WrestleMania 36, Rusev wouldn't even be in your thought process, in your plans, that shows you how fast Vince can take something that's going really well, and if he didn't make it himself, if it wasn't his vision, his creation, in a snap of a finger, he can ruin it. I'll move on. That Bobby Lashley match made me think, like, they never had a plan. They never did, and that's why you saw this drag out. Kind of a shame. Amazing to me. And that's why people in that locker room get upset. And then you see the people in the top spots, the Roman Reignses, the Seth Rollinses, saying, oh, I don't know why they're upset. You know, they should blame themselves. They're not working hard enough. You know, and no. It's because they weren't anointed the golden spoon by Vince McMahon. They're working their asses off. They know their value. They're not getting any help. Hour number 3 begins with the Women's Raw Elimination Chamber contract signing. Asuka's in the ring, Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Ruby Riott, Natty's out there. Now, Shayna didn't come until later on, though. Jerry Lawler said she's running late or maybe she's a no-show. But either way, we're doing this anyway. This entire segment stayed on the tracks. That's the best part on this. If you were to tell me that you're going to have that many females in that ring for a contract signing and Jerry Lawler is overseeing it, it leaves a lot of room for a lot of bad moments, right? Just a lot of moments where we're like, just get this over with, please. But it never once fell off the tracks. It stayed on them. Usually these things get awkward, cringe, and terrible from the jump. Not this time. Everything was short and to the point. Everyone signs the contract. Even Baszler, who finally ended up showing up midway through the segment. And then chaos ensued. Asuka and Natty start going at it. Liv jumps Ruby over the table. That was awesome. I think Logan got involved with them because those are former Riot Squad members. Baszler is left alone in the middle of the ring when Becky Lynch's music hits. Again, she comes out with her Elton John glasses, her bright yellow long sleeve like she's about to land a jet airplane. Your local airport worker with the fucking little glow sticks. But Lynch drops the belt, and even though she looked goofy as hell, she was ready to fight. She gets in the ring. The brawl is on, but it looked like Shayna Baszler had Becky's number. Right? First plants her, but Becky Lynch fights her off a little bit. Becky goes back at Baszler, but Baszler picks her up, slams her down again. Becky's trying to throw some blows in, but Baszler has her pretty steady on. I mean, she's got that MMA background, so when she wants to plant you and keep you there, she can keep you there. And I just thought the whole thing was brilliant. This is what we wanted from Ronda and Becky last year. Why did you insert Charlotte Flair? I'm not saying we were going to be engaged from November of 2018 into WrestleMania 2019. I told you guys that wouldn't work anyway, but at least try your best to give us some engaging content. One-on-one. Then they threw in Charlotte Flair just because Vince McMahon didn't want to have Charlotte Flair out of the spotlight. It didn't make any sense, just like Baszler not winning the Royal Rumble makes zero sense. Now Charlotte Flair had to win it because Vince McMahon had to have his golden child in the Rumble in a prominent spot and in WrestleMania in a prominent spot. But Charlotte Flair doesn't fit into this puzzle just like she didn't fit into last year's WrestleMania puzzle. So now they had to do some weird thing where they're actually having Charlotte take on Rhea Ripley. Now they have to have a third Elimination Chamber match. Charlotte Flair threw everything, spun it all out of control. No reason for it, other than Vince McMahon had to have Charlotte win that Rumble when it should have been Baszler, and this thing should have been set up properly. What you got last night, this is all it should be. Baszler badass, Becky as badass as can be, not looking goofy, hopefully in the future like she did last night. But too badass, this is what Becky and Ronda should have been. Charlotte Flair was added into the mix last year, and it threw everything off the tracks. We had to wait a little bit after the Rumble because of this whole Charlotte winning it. But what you saw last night is what this feud could be. And hopefully stays leading up to WrestleMania. I liked that last night a lot. And that's the story. It's supposed to be two badass females, or I'm sorry, one man, taking on the woman. Who's more badass? And if Ronda does interfere at WrestleMania, this could set up a future horsewomen match that we have been waiting years for. That would be the start. They're taking out Bex. This could piss off Charlotte Flair. She joins the mix, and at that point, you're 2 and 2 out of the 4 of each. We just need to throw in Bayley and Sasha, and obviously the rest of the horsewomen MMA-wise for Ronda, or Baszler, I should say, right? Baszler's got the main spotlight. We'll give her her credit and her respect. There's a lot that can stem from this. But from now, I should say, it looks like Baszler is heading into Mania against Becky, and the finish is going to be Ronda helps Baszler take that championship. Does Baszler need the help? No. But it's pro wrestling, and that greatly will produce highly, or at least a much higher anticipated finish. If you think Ronda's coming in, but when it actually happens, it'll be damn good to see Ronda. It'll tell a damn good story going forward, and if Becky wants to take time off when she comes back, she has a story to come into. I didn't lose that on my own accord. But if they want to have Baszler win that championship fair and square, that's fine. But as a heel, and with Ronda ready to go at Mania, there's no reason to. I have Becky Lynch losing this in the most non-clean way possible. Especially if she's going away. Have her come back with something waiting for her. Just like Ronda. Ronda's shoulder was up last year, right? She could come back and say, I was never really truly beat. Anyway, I love the whole start of hour number 3, and I never thought I would say it when you told me that we're going to have a 6 female contract signing, man. If you told me Becky Lynch was coming out looking like that, I would have been like, what? But, yeah, man. It was good. And again, all you need is just that. Yeah, man. Becky, Baszler. I'm more badass than you. Bullshit. I'm more badass than you. Oh, yeah? Let's see. Now. I liked it. Dawkins versus Murphy was next from Street Profits Dawkins. Dawkins-Murphy went roughly 90 seconds before I believe Rollins interfered. I blinked and it was over, so I don't truly know, but from what it looked like when I unblinked, it looked like Rollins was like holding up Murphy, so it looked like Rollins interfered. This set up a Ford versus Rollins match. This was at least lengthier than Dawkins and Murphy, and even a decent match, Rollins and Ford. But we know Rollins can go in the ring, and we know that Ford can go in the ring, so I wasn't surprised that it was a decent match. But after 2.5 hours of wrestling at that point, who the fuck trying to see Ford and Rollins? Seriously. Rollins wins via the stomp. Come on, man. How much care do I have for the Street Profits? 0 is the answer. They made me not care. I cared a little bit in NXT at least. On the main roster, and that's what, when you debut them, and for their first 3 months, they're just selling your fucking t-shirts and hats and action figures. What did you think was going to happen? We were one day going to go, whoa! They cut a little promo before these two matches. I kid you not. Go back and watch this, guys, if you haven't seen it yet. They cut a promo, and at the end, they go, we want the smoke. And I think they wanted the crowd to start chanting it. Not only did the crowd not chant, we want the smoke, it was silence after they said it. As much as I don't care about the Street Profits, that's sad to see. You know what I mean? When they're out there, you kind of want to throw them a lifeline, right? Because there still are superstars that are trying to entertain us. When you saw the crowd just totally not fall for the we want the smoke, you kind of feel for them out there, you know? It's like they're on this stage and everybody's like, nah, man. You know, how do you not feel bad for people at that point? But look at the boss. Go to the back and be like, Vince, we need to talk. We have potential. You're ruining us. Ford does, by the way. Dawkins, this guy is just a fucking clown of epic proportions, I feel. Sorry, not sorry. I don't see what Dawkins brings to the table. I just don't, man. The promos. Ford is on fire with his promos. I hate the content. I hate what they're actually spewing. But at least we know Ford can cut the promo. Dawkins, man, it looks so cringe. It sounds so cringe when Dawkins is trying to cut a promo. Fam. Just a goofball. Anyway. Tell me how you really feel, BC. Main event. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Bell time came in at 10:47 p.m. Eastern time, so the max this match was going to go was no longer than 12 or 13 minutes. The end bell was 10:56, so it was a 9-minute match only. However, even though it was short, there was a lot going on here. Some good, some not so much. As for the not so much, midway through this matchup, the Architects of Pain and the Street Profits came out to an already Architects of Pain distraction. So let me say that a little better. Architects of Pain were all out by ringside. Street Profits and the Viking Raiders came out to even the odds. Although they weren't out to just watch, they were out to brawl. So everybody brawls to the back. Rollins was left at ringside. Now, and that brings me to the good in this. Rollins, did he help out? I think he tried to take out, he distracted Owens, and this set up a rather simplistic, I mean, I know it's in his arsenal, but you don't expect him to beat somebody like Owens with it, and I'm talking about the DDT. Orton hits the DDT on Owens, and that's the cover. But why, you ask? Because the referee pulled a fast count. I'm pretty sure we were all shocked. Nobody saw that come. We all saw that it was a different referee, right? He was a newbie. But we weren't that taken back. I mean, I'm pretty sure throughout the night we looked at it and we went, oh, he's new. Never saw him before, right? And I'm pretty sure we also thought soon after, he looks kind of goofy. But oh well, it's a referee, right? We're not going to pick on the guy. He's doing a job in there.
But we're quick to find out, obviously he has some affiliation, and it's not to Orton. Orton doesn't work well with others. We quickly kind of, our thought process goes to Rollins, because this referee goes onto the outside and he keeps asking Rollins if he's okay. And Owens is able to get a hold of this ref. I think he takes out, Orton goes to the back, because Orton was going to take out Owens just like he did Hardy and Edge. But Owens was able to counter a chair, so Randy Orton was just like, I'm sorry. He drops his chair, and Orton goes to the back. Obviously, we don't believe that his apology is sincere, but whatever. Orton leaves. Owens is able to, or maybe Rollins runs away. I forgot what it was, to be honest. Did he take out? He may have taken out Rollins, or Rollins ran to the back. I really can't think now, guys, because my focus was on the referee. Owens was able to get this referee, throw him into the inside, rips his shirt, his ref shirt, and it reveals the Messiah, the Seth Rollins shirt. And I think this was absolutely brilliant, man. He was a disciple of Seth Rollins, the Messiah. Now, see, I'm not a fan of this Messiah gimmick unless you're going to do something with it. Well, if you're going to start turning people into disciples, that's awesome. Because now we don't know who is affiliated with Rollins. The camera guy could end up jumping somebody next week because he's affiliated with Rollins. Vince McMahon could be a disciple of Rollins. You don't know. That's awesome. He had the referee. His message resonated with the referee. He's turning the referee into his favor. How is that not brilliant? It's pro wrestling. It's those simplistic things that are awesome. The Fast Count had meeting. It's like a little bit of like a cult, right? And that's what happens. If you can get somebody's mind, they're with you. Their leverage will lean in your favor. I thought that was awesome. So the referee gets a stunner for his efforts. I believe didn't something else happen. What else happened, guys? The referee got fucking something else. It was a stunner. Hold on. I'll be here all day. There was something else. Hold on. You might want to go get a coffee and a snack. This might take a while. Something else happened to the ref, didn't it? Oh, yes! Wasn't he powerbombed to a freaking table? That's what it was. Owens brought in a table. He powerbombed the referee through the table. The ref got annihilated. So we had a little bit of everything. I like the story in it that Rollins recruited, or at least the message resonated, and he has a new disciple in the referee. So the story was great, and the progression for the Messiah's character, that just went up tenfold. Because now it could be anybody. So not just storyline, but character progressed. And that's what I love to see. But on top of that, we also got fucking table spot, right? Everybody wants tables. I still don't understand that chant. What the fuck makes this little thin table so spectacular? But for years, you show up to any arena and you'll hear, we want tables. Well, guess what? You got what you wanted. I got what I wanted, which was character progression, a storyline progression, meaning behind the character, meaning behind a story. Right now we can pick up anywhere they want to go toward WrestleMania. Now you can pick it up because anybody could be a disciple. I got what I wanted, and you guys got to see somebody go through a table. We all win! So that was Raw. Damn, I'm talking about some good stuff. AJ Styles and Aleister Black. I'm loving the start of that. It came out of nowhere, yes. But the thought of where it could end up, absolutely brilliant. Owens and Orton leading into Rollins, and now he's gaining actual disciples. And it could be referees, cameramen, Vince McMahon, who knows? I'm digging that. The 6 ladies in there for the contract signing and what happened afterwards with Baszler and Becky. Love that. Humberto and Garza continuing their story, and now we got Andrade coming back. I'm intrigued with that. Drew McIntyre's one-on-one sit-down backstage interview with Charlie Caruso, the timetable of his career and how he got here, the personal aspect of it, loving it. Wow. Did I just love a lot of a Monday Night Raw? Did that just happen? That show was produced? I'm not saying it was epic. I'm not saying it was a great show. Hell no. Please. I was around during the Attitude Era. It's going to take way more to tell me that was a really good show even. But to have that much good on that show? To see things progress and in the right way, a meaningful way? To get me thinking about what's to come? That's all good, man. That's all I ask for. You're too negative, Beasley. You complain. You bitch too much. No, I know what this can be and should be. This beautiful thing we call pro wrestling, especially, more specifically, WWE. I know what they're capable of. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just a little bit of what we should be getting every week. I'm taking that shit, man. I'll tell you that. Guys, we have a lot to do, we meaning yours truly, later this week. I'm going to be out of state. There's 2 big shows. There's the Super Showdown on Thursday afternoon, and then there's AEW's Revolution Saturday night. I'm literally going to be out of state till around Monday-ish, I believe. I don't even have an exact date coming back. But late Wednesday afternoon, I have to head out. I don't know if I'm going to be even able to have a review for Super Showdown and or AEW's Revolution. I'm not sure I can even have an audio-only review. You know, that's the whole point of having the audio only, is that I can be a little bit more freer. Wherever I am in the world, I can just send out my thoughts audio only. And you guys are cool with that, and I thank you. But I don't even know if I'm going to have the time to do that. I'm going to be around a lot of people. Most of this is business only. So I don't know. I'm just giving you a heads up. I know they're 2 big shows. You guys are looking forward to my reviews. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put up a review for Super Showdown and Revolution for AEW. I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm hoping I can change things around, even if it's only 15 minutes. But if I don't have at least 15, 20 minutes, there's no way I can put up a review for you guys, because I'm not going to half-ass a review. You know what I mean? It has to be legit, solid, the most researched, the most factual type of review that I can possibly give you. If I'm just going to rush out a 15-minute review and that's it, tops, then it's not doing you or me justice, and it's not how I run my channel. So I hope you guys understand. I have a lot to do at the tail end of the week, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to put up a video later this week. But I'll keep you more informed, obviously. There'll be more tomorrow. I'll try to at least put up an impromptu vid tomorrow with more information. So just giving you guys a heads up. For now, go about your Tuesday whooping that ass. Coffees and ass whoopings. You know the deal. Think, be, live, amplified, always. Yeah, man, baby. Now, check you later.